Hey guys, it's Jasper, and today I want to talk about writing office hours and vacation time. La! If you've been following me on Instagram the last 10 days or so, you probably noticed that I have been on vacation. And it was a wonderful vacation. Today is my first day home, and it was good. I brought a good stack of books with me, a good variety, some poetry, a few stories, some critical theory, and most excitingly of all, I brought along Voyager, which I allowed myself to really splurge on. Right now I'm really trying to break up my attention between, critical theory and then, I've got my fantasy story. And when you're on vacation, you mingle in poetry, and that's just natural, or at least that's just me. But because I was on vacation, I said, you know what, Jasper, you're usually pretty good, so read critical theory if you'd like. And as it turned out, I didn't care to read too much critical theory and instead just dove into Voyager. I crossed over part 6. And guys, if you're reading Voyager, it's so, so good. Anyways, enough about that, because this is not a Outlander themed vlog, it is a writing vlog. And what I started saying was that I went on vacation, and I also have been, for the first time maybe ever, I've been taking my writing a lot more seriously. I've had the time and space to do so, and over the last 2 or 3 months I have been working at writing every day and doing well at writing every day. So last 2, 3 months, and I really didn't want to break my streak. And so one of my fears was that my vacation would sort of interrupt my writing streak, or my writing office hours would sort of interrupt my vacation. Because my vacation, you want to be able to relax, you want to be able to drink white wine on the beach and read Joyce. Just relax and not have to do too much or think about the time and when you need to go into work and that sort of thing. So I wanted to talk about my writing office hours on vacation. Going into vacation, I decided I would sort of play my writing office hours by ear, meaning I would see if I wanted to write and then I would write, which I think was a bad idea. So on the first day, I decided I should try to maintain my writing every day. So to write at least once every day during the weekday, because that's when I write. I've been writing Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 hours a week. So I thought, okay, let me see if I can just maintain writing every day, even if it's not for my 3 to 5 hours. Even if I just write for an hour each day of my vacation, that's pretty good, because that'll keep my head in my story, keep me kind of moving forward, even though I'm moving forward slowly. But also just allow me to have the space to enjoy my vacation and not think too much about my work. So because the vacation stretched over, it was just over a week, it was sort of on the weekends, and then, that doesn't make any sense. Started on a weekend and ended on a weekend, and I had a weekday in the middle. My writing every day for my weekday went pretty well. So Monday through Thursday, I did accomplish that. I wrote at least once and for at least an hour, and that was good. It kept me in the story, and then throughout the day I was thinking about my story and kind of brainstorming, where do I need to expand, and I also was able to just enjoy my vacation. Now, the only day this failed was on Friday, and it failed because I got such a sentimental heart. It was hard because while we were there, we had different family members that were leaving, and you just sort of want to spend more and more time with people, and it just felt like on Friday there was no time for me to sneak in even an hour of writing that wouldn't take me away from, my family, who I'm not going to see. So I decided to skip on that day and decide, 4 out of 5 days, that's not too bad to, accomplish your writing for vacation time. So I felt pretty good about that. Now, the other thing that was really, really useful was I did most of my writing during my travel time. And this was due largely to my wonderful husband, who decided he'd did the driving and he let me schedule my office hours during our road trip. So what that looked like was he sat in the front seat, drove, while I sat in the back seat with the passenger seat, pushed way up, so I had tons of room. I had my writing notebook, my laptop out, my headset in, listening to Outlander. I don't know if you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw this, but I don't know what it is, except maybe like I'm like just a crazy fan or something, but I've been listening to the Outlander soundtrack all the time when I'm writing. It's something about it, it's just epic, it's adventure, and it's perfect for where I'm at right now. So I had my, sitting in the back seat, had my headset in, and worked for, I think a 3-hour stretch. It was a 3-hour stretch on the way up and nearly 3 hours on the way back. And that was really, really wonderful to be able to do that. The other thing I wanted to touch on really, really quick, because I know I had said that I might do an update on my writing notebook and how it's been going. And I have to say, one of the things that I've been doing that I really, 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 really like right now is I have been using my writing notebook at the beginning of every writing session. So when I first got it, I would have it next to me and use it if I needed it. But now I've been getting in the habit, when I get into a writing session, brew some coffee, turn the Outlander soundtrack on, start that epic music up, and then I open up my writing notebook and I review the notes that I left for myself the time before, add some notes, and work and write within my notebook ideas, questions I have, areas I want to expand, maybe a connection that I've just recently made, anything that I think might be useful, my sort of projected direction for the chapter I'm about to work in, anything. It's kind of just like an open journal, log, whatever. And then after I've had about, it varies from session to session, but I would say 10 minutes to sometimes up to an hour of working in my journal, then I close it and open up my laptop and start working in there. And then after I've worked on my laptop and I'm done, I'm finished, I don't want to do anything else, I write some notes in my journal for next time. So this is the new thing that I've been doing with my writing notebook, and I've been finding it immensely helpful just for keeping track of my thought progress. And this is probably just a really basic thing, using it more like a journal for my story, but it's been working really well, just starting with my writing notebook and then ending with my writing notebook. And right now, maybe it's just where I am in my story. It's just very, very helpful, but that's what I would suggest. And so with writing in the car, which is the thing I started talking about before this lovely little turn, with writing in the car, because I only had so much battery life on my laptop to work with, because I have been, using this with using my journal and then before and after, that sort of was able to extend my office hours longer than if I had just been writing solely in my laptop, which is normally what I would do. So on the way up, I wrote for about 3 hours, and then I would have written, like 4 or 5 hours if I could have, but as I was writing and it's getting so good, my computer was shutting down, we have no more battery, and so I had to just quickly save it and shut it down and that sort of thing. But I could have written longer. And then on the way home, I did the same thing, set some office hours for on the way home to sort of make up for my Friday where I decided not to write at all because I wanted to spend time with my family. So I wrote for maybe 2.5 hours, but at that point I was sort of just a little bit tired of being in the car. The first time I set my office hours for the car at the beginning of the trip, it was first thing. I just finished packing the car all up, and then my husband came home from work. We got in the car, I had my iced coffee, so I was kind of starting fresh. Whereas when we left, for going on the way home, we got up really early, and I'm not a morning person, so I, had my coffee and I was too tired to write. So I wrote after probably 3 hours of already being in the car, and so I think that made it a little bit more difficult to do. So the main things I would suggest is if you are going on vacation and you want to maintain your writing office hours, decide what's really important to you. For me, that was trying to set your office hours, at least write once a day. Even if it's not long, just open up your story, write once a day to keep your mind in the book, and that was really good. The other thing I would suggest is that if it's possible to write during your travel time, do it. It can be wonderful. But I would highly suggest that you plan to write at the beginning of your trip rather than part way through it, because you sort of, there's something wonderful about writing in the car or writing on a train. Trains are wonderful to write on. You know, writing while you're in transit. But the thing is that after a few hours, you just don't want to be there anymore. And so you hardly want to be looking at your screen or writing in your notebook anymore. So if you are going to write in transit, I would suggest writing at the beginning of your trip, which again is probably a no-brainer sort of thing. But those are my suggestions. Hope this has been helpful. If you have been, doing something similarly, comment down below, what do writing office hours look like for you on vacation? Do you not write at all? Do you keep the same hours? Are you very strict in that way? Or do you kind of loosen up a little bit? Whatever it's been, hope it's been good. Cheers, guys.